Welcome back to The Next Revolution. Earlier, I had the chance to speak with former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger about his amazing life story, the American dream, and that world-famous accent. Take a look. So look, I want to talk about your story a little bit, because I think, you know, one of the great things about you that people love is that you know, you are probably the biggest single immigration success story, a true American success story that's ever been. You know, if you think about what you've achieved since you come here, tell us about that a little bit.
I always tell people, I say, don't ever call me a self-made man, because if it wouldn't have been for America, and if it wouldn't have been for the endless amount of people that helped me here in this country, I would have been nothing. So it's very important to really thank America, and then to give something back. And this is where this comes in, my need for helping Special Olympics when I you know, in the 70s, and becoming the national and international trainer of Special Olympics, or working with after-school programs and or promoting fitness, and being the chairman of the President's Council on Fitness and traveling through all 50 states. So I was trying to give something back. I said, I have to do something to say thank you to America. And eventually that led to my need for, hey, here's the recall in California. Let's jump into the governor's race.
Oh, fantastic. Honestly, I totally share that feeling. I completely understand how you feel. I feel the same way. Along the way, you met Ronald Reagan. Tell us about that. Can you remember the first time you met him, what your impressions were, what it was like to work with him?
Well, the first time was at a party in the late 70s, just before he became president. And then later on, I met him in the White House. I was invited to several state dinners. And then I brought my mother there. I told him, I said, my mother is crazy about you. I said, she got to meet you. So anyway, so I was invited to that state dinner. My mother happened to be here at that time. She always came every spring for Mother's Day over here. And so I took her to the White House, and it was fantastic. You know, Reagan was a schmoozer. He loved to hold court everywhere. It doesn't matter if they were Democrats, Republicans, or declined to state independence. It made no difference. When Reagan walked into a house somewhere and there was a party, he would be going to the corner, and he would be all of a sudden surrounded by like 20 people that will listen to his stories. And he would have the most wonderful stories, and everyone would walk away. He's such a nice man. Man, I normally hate Republicans, but he's such a nice man. I'm going to vote for him. You know, that kind of a thing. So he was always nice. And then eventually, I remember we talked about fitness and all that stuff. And so he started paying attention to, you know, inspiring kids to train in the schools. And then later on the Bush, I was named the fitness chair and all this. But he was just a wonderful guy and a visionary. Yeah. And you could tell when you were with him that he had this strength and he had this conviction. When you talked, he had the knowledge about it. And, you know, he was just the best.
Great. So, last question. As we saw today, you've probably got the most famous accent in the world, and everyone thinks they can do their Arnold. We saw a few of them today. John Kasich was doing it, a couple of other people. So, is there someone who you think does you really well?
Well, it depends what you call well, because I remember that I got such a huge laugh out of Hans and Franz. You know, when they came on the scene on Saturday Night Live, and they said, "We are here to pump you up. Hey, you girly man, look at those little love handles. I mean, you can take them and pull it over your head and use it like a little shopping bag. Or, you know, I throw you through the air and you land in your own baby poop." And, you know, they did all this whole shtick, and it was like all imitating me, but exaggerating. Yeah. So to me, that was very entertaining, and it was very funny. People got a huge laugh out of it and all that stuff. So there's that level of imitation. And then some are really good, where they can literally call someone on the phone and pretend they're me, and people, you know, kind of buy into it. So, but it's great, because you have to understand why I feel really good about this. Because when I got into acting, they told me, the studio executives and the managers and agents and everyone, you will never make it. In America, they don't like accents. Mm-hmm. In America, no one has ever become a star, a leading man having an accent. It just won't happen. And they also said it will never happen because you have this muscular body, you're overdeveloped. But in any case, then when we did Conan, they said, well, if we wouldn't have had Schwarzenegger, we would have had to build one, because he was the only one with the body. Then when we did Terminator, Jim Cameron said this would have never worked if Arnold wouldn't have had the German accent. So imagine now all of the stuff that they said would be absolutely detrimental and that would fail because of those things, they became big assets. I turned the liability into an asset. And again, only in America. All of a sudden now, everyone knows my accent. Everyone, you know, some of them make fun of it, some imitate it, and all of that stuff becomes part of the shtick.
Yeah,
and so people, you know, love it. And so I just, again, it's one of those proofs that, you know, if you think positive and you don't listen to the naysayers, you can go and make it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
A good message there from the former governor. Now, by the way, we did talk to him about politics, Donald Trump and all of that, and you can see the second part of our interview in a couple of weeks' time.